listeners, you've already clicked on this episode, so you know what the title of it is. On this particular episode, I've got on a podcaster, copywriter, some would call him an entrepreneur. The man runs his own business. I've been on his podcast before, Between Two Bros. He took the time to come on with me. His name's Terry Schilling, and we talked about a variety of topics. To be honest, I'm not going to list them all. It was just a really fun conversation with a guy I really vibed with. Really good dude. Could see myself grabbing a beer with this guy. I hope you guys enjoy the conversation with the great and the powerful and the enthusiastic Terry Schilling. Check it out. This is the Jock Spin-Off Show. Terry, what's going on, man?
My man, what is going on? Now, do you go by Anthony or Tony? I feel like it's kind of like back and forth.
It's back and forth, man. I like both names. I don't have a preference.
So Tony Anthony the third, we'll call you.
The third. I'm not the third. That's the only thing.
All right. Oh, man, dude, I'm really good, man. I'm really excited to be on the show.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me, man.
Hey, I'm excited to have you on. Now, before we got started, I know I made you turn off your AC, and I know it's still warm in Chicago, so...
Oh my God!
How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling okay.
Okay.
I have a fan on in the room that apparently is pretty quiet enough because you haven't complained about that background noise.
No, I don't hear the fan.
Well, the AC is kind of a monster, so that fan gets pretty loud.
Yeah, I thought it seemed like you had your AC blowing directly on the mic.
Yeah, I have 8 fans in front of me because Chicago, dude, it's like it's crazy. I mean, should we just talk about Chicago weather for 20 minutes because that's such exciting stuff? It's like what everybody talks about.
Here's the thing. Chicago weather, we're recording this on Wednesday, July 17th.
Yes.
It's supposed to get up to 97 tomorrow and then 100 on Friday, 94 on Saturday. So for those that don't know about Chicago weather, yes, that is hot, but it's also fucking humid as hell in Chicago.
Yeah. It's like unbearable. It's like you get all the notifications on all your weather apps saying, be cautious going outside. It's a heat wave.
It's like a swamp when it gets that hot. Well, and just in general in the summer, Chicago's like the weirdest place in terms of weather because you get
the weirdest
9 months of winter, and then you get 3 months of just like tropical, humid fucking summer.
Yep, it's
no
terrible.
In between.
Like September is a little back and forth. Labor Day is perfect. I feel like typically.
Yeah.
Then you never know. I mean, it's football season. It could drop to like 50, 60 degrees. And then beginning of October, it could be 90 again.
And like in April, I remember I went in April, I went to California. I went to Coachella. And while I was at Coachella, it snowed here in Chicago.
That was mid-April. It was a big thing. It was the Game of Thrones premiere, and it just everybody in Chicagoland's like, oh, I see. HBO really went all out in the Chicago market to give us winter.
Hell yeah.
For the premieres back.
It's
wild, man. Dude, it's so funny. How many calls are you on where you meet somebody from out of town? And like anybody listening can probably relate to this.
Yeah.
It's like weather is easily one of two things you talk about like right away. Especially if you're waiting for other people to join in. You're like, oh, you're in San Diego? Oh, man, the weather out there is crazy, right? Crazy beautiful. Here, it's XYZ.
It's one of the things, that's like a default thing that people talk about. I feel like it's like that, or like when you get really old and you have kids, it's like you talk about traffic. Like, oh, man, what was your route to work today?
Traffic.
How long did it take you? Yeah.
I never want to get into the traffic zone conversations. I believe you. I know it's a thing. It's crazy. And then or just like if I meet somebody from a different town, I'll bring up some sports, and it's a 50-50 shot. Like they'll know the team.
Like sports.
Some people. What's wrong with some people? Some people don't like sports.
Imran doesn't like sports.
Yeah. Well, Imran he has his hobbies. I was working with somebody from Toronto, and I'm like, oh, the Raptors, huh? You're like, yeah, it was good. I'm not a huge basketball fan, but yeah, it was exciting for the city. It's like so monotone. I'm like, wow, okay.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, I could have easily had an hour conversation with him afterwards about it, but
every job that I've worked at, the first thing that people fucking talk about is coffee. How many cups are you having today? Are you on your second cup? I'm like, what?
Man.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah, man. Where do you work? It sounds like sounds soul sucking.
I'll tell you about that before or after the show.
I'm just kidding. No, dude. I know it's just all that talk, and like I hear it all the time, kind of going around. I'm in a co-working space in downtown, and just some of the random shit I hear. It's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, do you want to go? Where do you want to go to lunch? It's 9:30 in the morning.
Oh,
it's like
that is a real thing.
You think it's Subway today? Yeah, maybe. There's this new spot that opened. That's a real thing. Jerk chicken place. Like, oh.
That is definitely a real thing. And the thing is, like, if someone asks me that, and it's like 10 o'clock, there's a 50-50 chance. There's a 50-50 chance that I'm either going to be like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry already. We should be thinking about that. Or it's 10 o'clock, dude. What are you talking about? Like, it's not even, we have 2 hours before we even have to get a lunch break.
Gosh, I know, man. And it's just, it's just a few interesting. At the co-working spot, there's a beer on tap that's free.
Okay.
And so
that's dangerous.
I know. And they're like the managers in the building, like they call them community managers. They open that shit up at like 9:30. And there's a guy, the earliest I've seen. I know, the earliest I've seen a guy comes in. I don't know his name and I'm not going to call him out, but he comes in there at 9:50 is the earliest I've seen. It's funny. I mean, I time it because I see somebody tap it and I immediately look at my clock. That's just my instant reaction to it.
Sure.
I see him pouring it. And the thing is, they have pint glasses for you to take to pour your beer, but he goes and has like a insulated coffee mug. And he's just, I feel like, dude, you're not like, who are you trying to fool? You're walking around probably thinking it's coffee and he's like chugging.
That's amazing.
12 ounces of beer in the morning. That's
amazing that he puts it in a coffee mug as if it's like, okay, like no one will notice that I'm doing
it's always
this.
Funny. It's like, who are you fooling, my man? Oh, man. But yeah, dude, with lunch, like at every job I've had, dude, I was the huge snacker. And when we talked about lunch, like I could have easily ate at like 10:30. And at the same time, it's like, it's kind of, sometimes you feel like it's kind of sad if one of the first things you think about when you get to work is what time is lunch and when are you going to eat it.
That's true. That is kind of sad. Do you eat breakfast?
I do. I'm a smoothie guy, man.
Okay. Oh, you do a smoothie for breakfast?
Terry's Berries every morning.
What do you put in there?
So it is a bit of water, almond milk, mixed berry medley, frozen berries, a little bit of almond butter, and then I have some. Sometimes I put like some Vital Proteins, collagen in there.
Oh,
I'm not like a huge like protein guy. Like just the collagen, I find that I don't know, it's keeping me look young. My hair is flowing well, so I can't complain. It's not like whey protein where I'm trying to get jacked. How
old are you?
I am 32.
Yeah, you do look young.
Yeah, see, thank you.
At least on the pictures. Well, who knows if the pictures are...
That's really me, though, man. Trust me.
Yeah,
that's like from a couple, like just not too long ago.
I feel like you might be using that face app thing. It's up in reverse.
Oh, God, that's
going around. Have you seen how crazy that's gotten?
Yeah, of course. And I did the old man photo, like, because that's what people do now. Yeah. I have to. I look crazy, awful. It's just so weird. I'm like, wow, the wrinkles that they put on your face, it's crazy.
They make you look terrible.
They really do.
They over-exaggerate how old you're really going to look when you're that old.
And now the thing is that it's all going out. Like, you guys know this is a Russian app. They're taking countless photos. Like, you're giving them access to everything in your phone, like photo-wise. And so people are kind of freaking out now.
I mean, I feel like the phones already, they have access to everything. They could turn on the camera if they wanted to and watch
everything's listening now, man.
Everything.
You know that. Like, we could talk about, I've had this happen to me before. We could talk about the 1996 NBA draft right now. I could go to Google and just type in the year, and like it would, automate and say, it would suggest me looking up the NBA draft of 1996.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I heard on one, I listened to Joe Rogan a lot.
Yeah.
And he mentioned that one, I'm paraphrasing, but he said one time he had a guest on. The guest was like, yeah, I was talking about, let's say, Canada Goose jackets or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm making this up, but there's some sort of product. And then he's like, I go onto Facebook later that day on my phone, and now the ad on the sign is for Canada Goose jackets. He's like, what the fuck is this?
It's wild.
It's wild. I mean, I don't know if that was coincidence, but he's like, this is crazy. Crazy.
I don't know. It's definitely not coincidence. And even if like I'm Googling, so like my job, and we may get into this as a copywriter.
Yeah, we'll eventually get into all this.
I work with a variety of different clients, so I'll look up a competitor's, and it could be like an interior design firm, and it could be like an online company that outsources like local people to you. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I go on Facebook or Instagram and I have a sponsored ad for that company. It happens all the time to me.
What what I've noticed too, I've seen that. I've noticed when I Google something that I'm thinking about, and I put in like the first few letters of what I was thinking to Google, it'll fill it out for me.
It's scary, bro.
That's when I go, whoa, this is fucking scary. And I don't know. That might just be coincidence, and I'm Googling things that are fucking common, but still.
Well, I think it continues to learn exactly who you are and what you typically search for. And I think it's crazy how good we are at guessing. And it's just how we are just,
even in Wikipedia too.
Yeah. We're just rats in the maze trying to find the cheese constantly. And they know what our next move is.
They know everything about us.
Is that too conspiracy-esque? Because it's just like, wow, the listeners are going to be like, wow, we're getting some shit with this scary shit. Like
Imran is a big conspiracy guy. So if he ever listens to this, which he probably will, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. No, they absolutely are listening. They're doing everything."
He would just go on a tangent about how he's searching everything.
He would go off on a tangent about the Illuminati, and there's like 3 people running the world, and all sorts of bullshit.
I'm not big into that. Me neither. I'm just a full believer that we are literally living in Westworld, and we're just all robots. That's the thing.
Maybe. We're all kind of like I've heard this from Elon Musk. We're already basically cyborgs.
I was just about to say he thinks we're in a matrix, right? More or less.
He did throw that out there, but he did say we're basically cyborgs at this point. And the reason is we have our phones. So if I need to find information, I can pull it up in a matter of seconds and tell you what I need. Tell you what the information that I've just found.
Isn't that wild to think about?
We're that attached to technology.
We're that attached to just how far that we've come. Like people, I forget who I heard this. It was some comedian. I think it was a female comedian who has this bit. How she talks about, imagine kings back in the day, just, I want a, turkey leg. I want this. I want that for food wise.
Right.
And here we are. You could be, you could have just a part-time job, or you're a college student and you have Postmates. You're like, I want Taco Bell. I want tacos, or like, I want the best Chinese food. And you can instantly get it in 20 minutes, depending obviously how fast they make it. But it's just like we're living in this world where we're all our own kings, and
absolutely,
it's just.
Well, I mean, there's nothing holding you back. Like for instance, I'm trying to learn how to play golf a little better. So before you had phones, you had to find someone that knew how to play golf, and then you had to
pay a golf pro,
or then go out to the driving range and have that person go with you and then instruct you. Or now you can just pull up a YouTube video and be like, oh, yeah, I can just learn this on my own.
Yeah.
Or, the recipe to something. If or like, let's say you lost the instructions on how to set up some sort of technology, set up like the TV to your speakers or whatever.
Right.
Before, if you lost the instructions, you'd be like, fuck, I got to find like a handy person.
I know.
Now it's like, I can just Google it and be like, okay, here, I got to plug in this wire. Oh, I'm missing this thing. Okay, I got to go buy this.
YouTube, man. Just pop
YouTube's
it,
crazy.
Ask the YouTuber the Goog, and you're good.
Goog.
I've done a few, home things, do-it-yourself projects, and plumbing was a big one. And like I put like a whole new vanity in my bathroom, and like it's just watched so many YouTube videos. And like I had watched one. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Let me watch another one to see if they're saying the same thing.
Right.
And you can learn fucking anything on your own. We can swear on this. It's cool.
Oh, yeah, you can swear. You can do whatever the hell you want.
All right,
let me tell the listener though how we got connected.
Yeah, let's get
because I was on your podcast. Yeah, I was on your podcast. Me and Imran, you had us both on the Between Two Bros podcast. Is that correct?
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
Yep, Between Two Bros.
Between Two Bros.
Did your homework on your guest?
I did the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I wanted to have no prerequisites on how this was going to go.
We just met on the street.
Yeah.
I was, speaking of Postmates, I delivered your food, and hey, you want to come on a podcast?
Yeah, right. Right. I was like, you're a Postmates delivery guy.
Yeah.
Come on.
I have the perfect show for you.
So I was on your show, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I recently learned that you don't do that show anymore, or you've taken a little hiatus.
Yeah. No, yeah, I wouldn't say we don't do it anymore.
Okay.
So it's with a good friend of mine. His name is Mike.
Yep.
And we were fraternity brothers. We still are, really, technically. Right?
Technically, yeah. You're always going to be frat brothers.
If you guys go back and listen, it's like two guys went to school as strangers. They met as fraternity brothers. They left as best friends, and then we started a podcast. Mm-hmm. And it's similar to this and a little bit what you and Imran do. We talk about sports. We talk about pop culture. We have different topics. We bring a variety of different guests on from all walks of life. And you'll see we go through different hiatuses. We're really busy. It's clearly kind of a hobby for us. But when we do, we have, a variety of different connections of people in different industries. So we do have a lot of fun with it. It's just the consistency part is the hard part for us. Like this summer, he moved and he had a lot of trips, and then I had a handful of things going on, and sometimes we struggle to find time to sit down for an hour or so and chat.
Where, if people wanted to listen to this, go back and look at some of the archives, where would they listen to it?
Yeah, go to Between Two Bros. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Got it. So it's on all the majors.
The big players, yeah.
So then I messaged you and you go, yeah, I don't do this anymore. I'm like, fuck, what? I don't want to have this guy anymore. And then you go, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a copywriter. So just go real quick. Tell us about that. And
yeah. You messaged me and I'm like, well, man, like I'd love to be on the show. We could also talk about this. So, I mean, I was a
I'm kidding, by the way. I was going to have you on.
I was a copywriter for, I know you are. I know. No worries, man. And so, I mean, I have a variety of background. I went to school as a broadcast journalism major. And then I graduated in 2008 when the market was terrible. I'm not really trying to use that as an excuse. It was awful. Like any job offer that I had from news stations was like, you're going to make $23,000 a year and you're going to live in Bumblefuck, North Carolina, or, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which would have been cool. But like at 21 grand a year, they're just like, you're going to have barely enough to survive. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. And so I just could never pull the trigger on that. And then just got into some marketing jobs, did freelance photographer reporting work in Naperville, Illinois. And I kind of just Naper Thrill, yes. And I just kind of pivoted into, I worked in event marketing. I worked for a startup that did like high school and youth football camps. It was kind of a big player. It was like a competitor to FBU, in like that kind of circuit back, 5-6 years ago, a little bit more than that. And then I got into FBU? An agency. So it's like, it's a football university. So it has like high school kids go and do all this camp circuit all across the country. And then basically a lot of them get chosen to that Army All-American game that you see on NBC for football.
Got it.
And so the one that I was with, their sponsorship was the Marine Corps, and they had a game on Fox Sports for like 3 years. And, but I left that. It kind of was just fizzling out for me. And then I started at an agency as a copywriter from a friend of mine who owned an agency. And then I kind of started a little side hustle and just kind of got that urge to be my own boss and saw a path to take it where, I could use the skill set that I have, help other business owners, help people learn how to, write for their own business, help other freelancers thrive as well. And in April of 2018, I left the agency, my full-time job, the cushion of a full-time paycheck, good benefits and everything, and decided to do it on my own. And I haven't looked back. I don't regret it at all. I just, as cliche as it is, it's just like anytime things get tough, it's trying to learn something, or, struggling to find clients. It's just like that happiness factor. Like it makes everything easier to figure out along the way.
So you took the risk and it's been a little bit now and you're doing it full time, huh?
Doing it full time. Yeah. And it's been great. Been having some of my best months recently. Good start to the year in general, even though we're over halfway done with the year, which is crazy, but
insane.
Yeah, man. And I don't know like how much, some of the people like you follow on social media or what have you, but I just got really into that whole, I won't say hustle culture, but a lot of the different entrepreneurs who, promote their online business and promote their brands, like people like Gary Vee, lady named like Marie Forleo, guy like Pat Flynn. There's just a handful of people out there who are just, really influential and inspirational in the space. And I just kind of got into it and just saw a path, and I keep consuming that content too.
Helps you stay motivated every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, I think I feel like, I guess the biggest player is like Tim Robbins, kind of like that self-motivation.
Absolutely.
And I don't listen to Tim Robbins, but I know of people, in that kind of space, and I can really get into it. I'm a believer in a lot of stuff they say.
Let me ask you a thing that makes complete sense. I'm familiar with all those guys. Let me ask you something right off the bat, though, and you can choose to answer this or not. What do you do for like insurance?
Well,
you buy insurance independently.
This is a good thing if you meet the lucky someone. So my wife. So yeah, she has a full-time job, and we're married. Obviously, I said wife, and so I'm on her insurance.
Oh, perfect. So that works out.
Yeah.
What do you do do you save for like a retirement or a 401k, or what do you do?
Yeah. So I opened up a Roth IRA. Yeah. So I did have an IRA with my old company that I still have.
Roth IRA is clutch.
Yeah. So it's nice. So then I get into a little bit of the stock game here and there. I'm very novice at it. And I feel like I'm on like the app Robinhood, if you're familiar with that one.
I'm on it. So I just downloaded it about 2 weeks ago because I started really diving into my 401k and like where my money's going.
Right. Yeah.
I was like talking to a financial advisor, and then I was like, I don't really need you. You've taught me everything already. So I'm going to do this on my own. So I've been investing. I have a Roth and a regular IRA, and then I'm dabbling in the 401k or in the stock thing. I haven't started yet, but I'm doing my research.
So did you take the money from your like 401k or IRA from work, or what? Or I don't know if you did it on your own.
So my old job, I had an IRA that it's still currently at that job, but I'm going in the process of switching it over to an IRA with my new job.
Got it.
But along with my IRA, my new job offered a Roth too, and I decided to do that as well. So I'm doing a Roth. I'm going to basically have a Roth and an IRA, Roth IRA and a regular IRA going on at the same time. For those that don't know what this means,
this is exciting shit.
Right? Well, it's important though.
Hell yeah, it is.
Well, so 401k, people probably know what that is. I'm not going to be.
It's a very long race that your work forces you to do.
Exactly. It's never ending until you retire. You never see the fruits of that until you retire, or if you have to withdraw it early, you might get a penalty. But anyways, an IRA is money that you put away that is tax deferred. So it's money that you save up and hopefully builds in stocks and mutual funds and bonds that once you start to use when you retire, you will have to pay taxes on. So if you have $1 million, it's $1 million, but you'll have to pay taxes on it when you decide to withdraw it. A Roth IRA, I believe, is better because you pay taxes on it initially, and then it just builds up. And then eventually when you take that money out, you don't have to pay taxes on it. So you pay the one-time tax when it goes in as $20, and then that money just builds. So
now, is it, just a quick question on that, I forget, is it a maximum of like $5,000 a year that you can put into it?
So I don't really know. That's a question I didn't ask. I know that my job, you can't put in more than 50% of your paycheck.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a limit on how much you can put into that. And I mean, and you can really choose different stocks that you want to invest in as well. Absolutely. With this thing. So, I mean, if you want to get into the CBD craze right now, you can. It might be a little bit bullish, like up and down now. But, I mean, at the same time, it could be very lucrative in the future when we're all drinking CBD lemonades and gummies and, you know, kids and dogs are already eating it. There's dog treats with it. So I think it's going to be everywhere.
Absolutely.
That's one that I've trying to research a little bit more on. And I own a few very small shares through Robinhood. Like, I'm not a big person where I'm like putting in $2,000 and buying a shit ton of stocks. I'm kind of just testing it and seeing. Like, I did Roku at like $50 a share, and then now it's up to 110.
Oh, there
you
go.
So, you know, so that's just like a good example.
Does Robinhood send you a 1099 during tax season?
Yeah, yes, they do.
They do, right? Okay, that's good. Yeah, because I am dabbling. The first stock I'm looking at is AMD.
Yeah, I have a few shares of that.
I've heard really good things about AMD, and I heard it's just going to keep going up.
Yeah, it's like a small microchip that feels like everything's going to be using soon.
Yeah, I
more so than
I'm just debating on how much money to play with in the stock market. That's the only thing.
Well, it's just, you know, it's interesting. If you think about, like, if you're a coffee drinker, there's something that you typically spend maybe $15-$20 a week on.
Yep.
You know, just think about either lowering that down or see if it really is worth it, or put like $8-9 into it and buy like 2 shares of something that's fairly cheaper for $9, buy 1 share a week. I mean, in a year, that's just going to add up, because sometimes it won't jump so high in a year. But yeah.
Yeah, it's super interesting because, like I said, I was like, you know, I've been throwing money into my 401k, and I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I don't even know anything. Like, and I'm sure a lot of people are like me, that they're just like, yeah, it's good in my 401k. I don't really know how much. I knew how much I was contributing, and I knew my employee match, but that was about it. I was like, I don't know how this fucking works. How is it growing?
Yeah,
what am I even invested in?
I was with you, yeah.
And then once I got woke to that, I'm like, oh shit, this is kind of fun. This is kind of interesting.
Super fucking exciting. I know.
Yeah, right?
I'm like thinking about transitioning mine like all to a Roth IRA and kind of doing it on my own, like you did, and just kind of playing that game. And
yeah, the only thing is when you some tips. a tip of advice. That doesn't even make fucking sense. Some advice. When you transition it to an IRA to a Roth, so whatever you have in your IRA, let's say you have 50 grand, right? You transition that to your Roth. That money will be counted by the government on top of what you made that year. So let's say, for simple numbers, you made 50 grand this past year. I'm sure you're doing way more than that. And then you added the 50 grand that you had in your IRA. The government will tax you as if you made $100,000 that year.
Yeah.
So I would just be careful, because then you'll get taxed at a higher tax bracket, and you will definitely owe the government money. So sometimes it's recommended to work with a CPA.
Professional.
Yeah, yes. Like CPA or something, just so that like, he can help you be like, this is how much you put in.
I do have somebody that I work with on that.
Great.
Yeah, man. But that's good information though, for sure. Fucking tax
good for
man,
our
man.
Listeners.
And I don't pay taxes. I choose not to, so it's fine.
Well, then you're maybe I should take your take your last name off the name of the show.
I'm just kidding, man. Of course I do. I always would joke at that at my old office, and like one of them was like kind of more of like a Republican-esque person, and like, oh yeah, they would always just look at me like, wait a minute, Terry, you have to pay your taxes. I'm like, I know. I always think of that joke too, of just like we're just that line in Billy Madden or Happy Gilmore. Mm-hmm. Where you've seen Happy Gilmore, I assume, right? His grandma, they're taking her house away. It's like, Grandma, like, why didn't you pay your taxes? I would have, but I didn't have any money. It just has her own voice, and it's just like, oh God, it's just like people could be so dumb. The thing is like some people are just small potatoes where they choose not to, and they may be okay. They may go like their entire life as long as they like. Especially like if you're your own business and like you just you withhold a lot of things, and you're making like $60K a year and living comfortably, and great. But people like Mike from the fucking Jersey Shore, and then the reality TV stars who just don't withhold a lot of money. They're driving around in Lambos and have all this property. It's like, yeah, something's off here.
You see that with a lot of like reality stars, and I said see that a lot with reality stars and young like actors and actresses that are thrown into fame right away. You get thrown a lump sum of money, and you're like, great, I got 100 grand. I'm going to spend 100 grand. And you don't realize that, that's going to get taxed like crazy. And you're going to have to owe the government. Man. You don't even like realize, like, because no one, like when you were going through school, were you in any like, I don't remember anyone telling us about taxes and how to save money.
No, not really. The only thing I remember, I had an econ class in high school, but I honestly can't even remember like all exactly that we learned from that perspective.
Like, whose job? I feel like schools should teach you that.
It's like how to write a fucking check. It's like, I don't write checks anymore. I got Venmo. There's peer-to-peer payments everywhere.
Oh my God. It's crazy. It frustrates the hell out of me when my mom's like, hey, can you, like I owe my mom some money, and she's like, hey, can you go to the bank and give me cash? I'm like, Mom, just download this app. I would have gotten you the money seconds ago if you would have just downloaded this app. Or she'll be like, I had a weird charge. Like, I don't know if I charged my card, if the card went through. I'm going to have to call the credit card company and see if that went through. I'm like, Ma, if you just download this app, you could see right away that the card has been charged or not with that $20. She's like, yeah, but I don't want my info to be out there. I'm like, oh my God, okay. We're not even on the same level.
Turn off Fox News. Listen to your damn son. I got you. I got you, Ma.
Right?
Everything's going to be fine.
Oh my God. It's crazy.
I wrote a check the other day. We had a friend's birthday party, and we wrote for their first year, like their kid, it was a 1-year-old.
Oh no, a check.
Yeah, no. And we wrote a check to him, and I literally had to double take. I'm like, my wife's, her name is Selena. I'm like, I sign here, right? On the bottom. I'm like, right. And what? I just had a total brain fart. Like, I've written checks handful of times, but it sounds so stupid.
You got to put like the cents over 100, and then if the number is the whole line isn't filled out, you got to put like a through line so that like doesn't get filled out with more stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's super old school.
If you have any Gen Z listeners right now, they're like, wait, what the fuck are they talking about?
Oh my God, yeah. If there's anyone that's Gen Z listening, they're like, wait, you didn't have a cell phone back then? I was listening to this podcast about Woodstock 99, and something that just throttled my mind is they were like, this was a time when we didn't have cell phones, so we just enjoyed each other's company. And I was like, oh yeah, like 99, yeah, I was 12 years old. Yeah, I didn't have a cell phone.
Doesn't that sometimes, though, it sounds so nice, though, right?
Absolutely.
What is that podcast? Is that the break stuff on Luminary from the Ringer?
Yep. 100.
I am a big Ringer fan.
I am too. I am not, though, a fan yet of subscribing to a podcast network. So I listen to the free version.
I was about to say, I know Luminary. Luminary's like $8 a month. Or a little bit more.
I don't know I don't know about paying yet a monthly for podcasts.
Yeah, I don't know either. I know that they did the Ringer does the rewatchables. I don't know if you listened to any of those, but they just go through movies, and they did a thing in 1999 where they did a bunch of movies, and they just break down each movie into categories, like most rewatchable scene, casting what ifs, all these cool fun things, and they go through all these movies, makes you just want to watch it again. I know they did American Pie, which is growing up, that's just kind of what I learned exactly what you do in life. Almost. It's just crazy. For me, I have a nephew who's going to be a junior in high school, and I'm like, have you ever seen American Pie? He's like, no, I've heard of it. I want to. And I'm like, don't fucking lie to me. But just tell me you haven't seen it. And I'm just like, but why haven't you?
Right.
It doesn't age well because they don't trap, but they record Shannon Elizabeth walking around naked in the guy's room on a webcam.
Right.
So clearly that's not going to happen anymore. It doesn't fly. But it's just it's like that girl exists in high school. I can't wait to get to high school right now. Oh my gosh.
I just remember.
How old are you, Anthony, though?
I'm 31.
So you're 31. So you're around so you know then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that movie, and looking back on those movies now, first off, I love that movie. I bought it.
I love it. I have all three of them. American Pie is my Breakfast Club. If everybody talks to me what's your teen movie, I won't say anything other than American Pie for me is number one, because
even the one was it American Reunion, the fourth one?
Yeah,
I enjoyed the hell out of that. I got nostalgic as hell watching that one.
Well, and American Pie 2 is fantastic. It's all right, what guy going through high school is I can't wait to get to college and paint and go rent a lake house and have a summer job painting houses,
right,
and throw huge parties every weekend.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's all things I could relate to. I just remember watching those movies, and then now looking back on them now, just going, man, they always casted 25-year-olds as high schoolers, and just as a kid, I was like, yeah, that's how I would look in high school, and now I'm like, no one looks like that in high school.
No,
especially really Shannon Elizabeth. No one's got huge fake boobs like Shannon Elizabeth.
No, not at all. And even Tara Reid was kind of a smoke show.
Yeah,
before she got really a shit show, as you say.
Yeah, she really fell off a cliff, huh?
Yeah, man. But God, that movie, it's just oh, did you watch Little Mermaid last night? Oh, the Ariel, she's so hot. And it's just yeah, man. This is it's what guys think about. And have you ever seen Big Mouth? Any of those episodes?
No, on Netflix? No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's so dirty and wrong and raunchy, but it's charming and
I have to. I don't even know what is it.
Nick Kroll and Mulaney are the two main voices, and it's basically just 12, 13-year-old kids, and they're going through puberty. And Nick Kroll's character and John Mulaney's character, they have this thing called the hormone monster, where it's this creature that looks like a mix of Alf and Sasquatch, if you will. And it just Nick Kroll, I believe, does the voice and some weird voice, but it's talking about the guy's dicks and talking about, having sex with girls and all this shit. And it just comes at it full force, what you're thinking, all these kids. And, it's just wild. Cause you and I grew up as teenage boys.
Mm-hmm, of course.
We had most of the time one thing on our mind, and that's kind of what that show dives into, but just in a much dirtier way.
I mean, the thing on your mind as a teenage boy is, okay, what would sex feel like? What would that be like? If, before you've ever had it, you're what would that be like? I'm sure it's awesome. What would it be like? How do I do it? Who's going to do this with me? How do I find out when they're going to do it? What are the signs? But just thinking about that movie now, the way they objectify Shannon Elizabeth, it wouldn't fly today. People would be no way,
crazy.
you can't throw
so much.
People would just revolt.
Anything that comes out of Stifler's mouth. Yeah,
yeah, he's the most chauvinistic guy ever. I mean, the whole movie is about finding a girl to have sex with.
I know,
because the third act, spoiler alert, all the guys have sex.
Yeah,
and they're all this is great. I love it. Cheers to us.
Yeah, we did it. We we got our holy grail of things that we needed in high school. That's what it was, man. But it's just crazy because that's just kind of thing. And then like I remember growing up like junior and senior year, and then like prom was coming around. Like that was a big thing on your mind. If you had a date, you know, you're just like, holy shit! Like, did it happen? Like, right. Does she think of me that way? Like, fuck. Should I bring condoms? Like, what do I do? Oh
yeah, I remember in high school when I first learned about like condoms and all that. I went and I bought a couple, and I had them in my wallet for like a while because I hadn't had sex, and after a while I was like,
man.
I would always be like, look at these, look, like I'd pull out like some money, and people would be like, oh, you have condoms, and I'm like, yeah, you know, just in case. So I thought that was such a cool thing.
I fuck.
Yeah, I fuck, right? Yeah, and then like after, like I heard from a friend, like after like 6 months, he's like, you shouldn't have those anymore. I'm like, why? He's like, they like expire. I'm like, oh. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to just toss these now, and I'll have some new condoms to hold in my wallet.
Yeah, man.
Oh, my gosh.
And just like today's kids growing through high school, it's just so, like, just with all the different apps and things that they have, and just, you can just get in trouble. Just imagine if they had, like, Snapchat and Instagram, all that stuff when Shane Elizabeth is walking around that room. So they would be literally everywhere, not just the school, but, like, everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. Everywhere, like,
and you'd be in so much trouble.
Yeah,
more so. We never knew what happened to Jim because it got to the high school, but somehow Jim was still able to go to prom in that movie. Right. That's a big what if.
Yeah, what if they like? How is he able to? How is she?
They could track his IP address and that it was him.
Doesn't she leave? She leaves the high school, right? Once they find out, like she doesn't go to prom. God. I think she's like embarrassed by the whole situation, and she moves back home because
I forget why she doesn't go to prom. You're right.
I think it's because she's embarrassed, and she's from another country. She's doing some horrible accent.
She really is.
She's like the Czech Republic or something.
Yeah. And then the second one, she's like calls Jim, and she's like, "I'm going to be home this summer. In the summer, I can't wait to see you."
Yeah.
That's probably a pretty bad impression, but it's kind of that bad at the same time.
It is that bad, and he finds out that he's actually in love with the band camp girl.
Yep. God, American Pie. Anybody who hasn't seen that, and I don't know, if you're 30 or younger, go see it.
For me, it was like American Pie. Road Trip was another big one.
Road Trip's a good one. Yeah, same.
Euro Trip was a terrible movie, but it was a good one. That was another one for me.
Excuse me.
What other teen movies?
Scotty doesn't know. I'll tell you, one for me is The Girl Next Door. Like that's another one.
Oh, that's a great one.
But I saw that a little bit later.
It takes a dark turn though.
But it's such a good movie though, man.
I'm just saying, like, you're like, this is another high school teen movie, and then it takes a dark turn when he starts beat up, and he's getting like abused by this guy that's the girl's pimp. It's like, whoa,
yeah.
This just got weird.
Know, The Girl Next Door is this guy. He is going to go. He wants to go to Georgetown, like valedictorian, pretty much of his high school, and then this hot girl moves next door, who is Alicia Cuthbert. Really
in her prime
from 24 fame. Yeah, in her prime is right. Very attractive in this movie. And it turns out that she's a porn star. And then, that's all you have to know. A porn star moves next door. And then they kind of fall for each other. And then, there's shit at a porn convention and a producer becomes his enemy. He's the bad guy in the show. And I don't know. It's great.
What's the producer's? He's a famous actor. The girl.
Yeah, it's Tim Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant.
I don't know how you say his last name exactly.
Yeah, me neither.
Elephant.
That was another good movie. Yeah,
man.
That was another one.
A lot of good teen ones. Well, then there's there's Can't Hardly Wait. She's All That. Those are kind of classics for our generation a little bit there.
Yeah, I Can't Hardly Wait. So Jennifer Love Hewitt was my crush as a kid.
Yeah, I know what you did last summer.
I was a big Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I was big Jessica Alba. I remember her in Idle Hands. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was great. Idle Hands.
Yeah, right?
Very underrated scene where the hand is just grabbing boobs and you're just, as a teenager, going, oh my God, this is crazy.
And Jessica Alba, she still thinks she hasn't aged. She's just a pretty woman.
She's a very hot woman. Any girls that are listening to us, like, you guys are just the worst right now.
God, this is such a guy podcast.
But it's the truth. Like, this is what you think about as a teenager.
You know what's funny is, like, to go back to that show Big Mouth, one of the funniest things I've seen in that is they focus on one of the main girl characters in it, and she has her own hormone monster, and then she's getting horny, and she doesn't really kind of know what to do. Like she's like wondering, going through all this phases too, and she's thinking of guys a lot. She's thinking about sex. And then when the guys found out from their hormone monster, it's like, oh, this girl's acting weird. And like their hormone monster's like, yeah, here's a surprise. Girls get horny too. And then they're literally, the animation, their head explodes because they can't believe it themselves. And I just feel like a lot of that's like relatable. I think like for girls, it's like, okay, we know what guys think about, but for guys, it just, some of them are just, so crazy about it, if you will. Yeah. It's just like, wait, girls think about this stuff too? Like I've heard about it in high school, like girls talking about other guys, like, oh, did 100%. You see so-and-so wearing, in gym shorts and wearing sweatpants today? And you hear that stuff in college. It's just... That's
what I was going to say. When I got to college is when I realized, oh, girls like sex too. Like they think about this a lot. Yeah. Because I overhear conversation. Oh yeah, like I slept with him. Yeah, he was terrible, or just very like man, like almost as the way men you would think would talk about it. I was like, girls talk about it the same way. Did you turn on that AC, by the way?
I did not. No, I hear it too, though.
I can hear. Yeah, what the hell's that?
I don't know.
You boiling some water?
No, I honestly, it's probably so. I'm in like these 6 old buildings in Chicago. It used to be like the fruit markets, and they turned them into condominiums.
Oh, nice.
And so there's like cement walls throughout, and there's a lot of piping in between. So I think somebody's just taking a shower in like the unit above or something.
Just knock on the ceiling. No, I'm kidding you.
Yeah, it's like, hey, fucking just stop it.
I'm fucking podcasting down here.
I know. What? Shit. Yeah. So sorry about that. Hopefully it's not too bad.
No, it's not bad.
Not as bad as the AC fan it was earlier.
The AC fan was awful. This is very much manageable.
Yeah.
How the hell did we get to talking about teen hormones and teen movies?
I honestly don't know. We went from stocks, from 401ks to talking about.
We went from something where people should be listening.
Recording naked women on a webcam in the late 90s. That was a big thing.
Webcams are now just all built into your computer, right? No one uses a webcam anymore.
Well, some do. In a way, it's weird because I feel like webcam kind of has this somewhat negative connotation to it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're a pervert. You have a webcam? Yeah. It's like, it's not like that, though. So sometimes, like, to get back a little bit to, like, for me, as, like, my job as, like, a freelancer, entrepreneur, solopreneur, there's, like, a bunch of titles when you're kind of your own boss. Mm-hmm. But, like, a big thing about for me is, like, I like recording videos and doing content, like, teaching, like, different skill sets of, like, here are 3 tips to write a great headline for your website. Like, stuff like that. So, like, my main focus a lot is writing websites for different companies and different business owners. So a lot of times I do record videos right from my computer, and I have, like, a nicer webcam that I put on a tripod so it doesn't look... Yeah. So I have it, and then we'll do the video, and then we'll go into post and edit it down. But yeah. So it's weird. It's like some people are just like, wait, what is this contraption?
It's such a negative thing. It's just such a negative thing to cam it up.
Well, like I have my GoPro too, like so I'll set that sometimes up on a tripod or like another digital camera. But I went into Best Buy and it's like, do you guys like where are your webcams? And it's like it didn't feel great coming out of my mouth. So but like they showed me and there's legit ones, and from what I've gathered, a lot of people use them too. But again, it's not like really publicized.
Sure,
because there are cameras in everything now, like in our phones, in our computers, so people just assume.
I bet the guy that helped you out at Best Buy was like, "Does he want DVDs too? Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
It's like, hey, I got a really good deal on this camcorder over here. If you go back to the old stereo, if you pull the left chair, it's like if you pull the arm of the left chair, you're going to be taken down into the dungeon, is what we call it. It's like, oh, wow, Best Buy.
Best Buy. Do people even go to Best Buy anymore?
Dude,
I feel like you can buy all that stuff online.
You can. Amazon's their biggest competitor.
Yeah.
One of the employees there, I was asking him for like a GoPro accessory for like an actual like microphone that I can hook up onto it. And he's just like, oh man, like we don't have that here. We only have this lavalier mic or this wireless mic. It's like, you're going to have to go to Amazon or somewhere else. It's like, and then he's like, dude, Amazon's going to kick us out of business. Like, I don't even know how long we're going to be here. It's just like, dude, why are you telling me this? Like, this is your job. It's like, try to get me to buy something here, you idiot.
The reason I asked that too is because the Best Buy that I grew up in, so I grew up in Niles, Illinois.
Okay.
I don't live there anymore, but the one that I would go to where I grew up, it closed down probably 5 to 10 years ago, somewhere in that range. And I would assume it's just because of the fact that no one goes in and buys electronics. Like, people can just buy that stuff online and have it shipped next day.
It's weird. Like, the one that I go to in the city, it just seems like a Scooby-Doo ghost town half the time. It's just
right.
It's really weird. But like at the same time, I read an article like a couple months ago how Best Buy still thrives and is still in business because of like a different business model that they have, like developing a good culture, and then also with like the return and buy, like a return policy that they have, like people could go and try it for so many days, what have you. So, but I'm with you though, man. A lot of those big box retailers are going away. And then all these online shops that we got used to in the past 5 years are now doing brick and mortar stores. So it's kind of just like coming full circle. Yeah. It's like glasses, you shop at Warby Parker, you like Stitch Fix, you like, Trunk Club. Oh, guess what? We have a store here now that you can go and get everything there. It's like, oh, wow, this is great. Like people still like that, like going into a physical store.
That's what I was going to say. I've not fully committed to buying everything online. I still like to go into a store and look around and kind of like feel and touch what I have before I'm going to buy it.
Yeah. That human to human interaction is, I think, very important. We don't want to become this Black Mirror society.
Absolutely. I think it's still important to our generation, because we grew up half and half. Like we had technology, but we still didn't for a while.
Yeah.
We still had, before I got to like my junior year of high school, we still interacted like face to face. Like if I wanted to, or like on the phone, like if I wanted to talk to a girl I liked, I would call that home number and hope her dad didn't pick up and be like,
"Oh hey, God, dude, like dial up internet." It's like, "Oh, is your little brother on the computer again? And I can't talk to you."
Yeah, right.
Oh my God, our generation is crazy because we did grow up for a lot of our lives. At least for me, I was like 14, 15 when I got my first cell phone.
Yeah.
But like you barely could do shit on there.
Right.
But I mean, we did have the internet, but then it was like AOL chats when we were like 8th grade freshmen.
AIM was texting.
Yeah, exactly.
You would go onto your computer at like 9 o'clock and be like, I hope the girl I like is on here.
Dude, you go into chat rooms, ASL, age, sex, location. I don't know if you remember that.
But it's just like, yo, everyone's lying about their age. You're talking to some 35-year-old dude who's 14, female, and from Chicago.
It's just like kids these days. It's like I had to go in a chat room and I typed in ASL. Tell me, what do you think that stands for? It's like I wonder what they think. They're just like ass, sex, lips. Like I don't know. They were just like ass to mouth. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, they would think it's one of these weird acronyms.
Weird thing. Yeah. But that was a big thing, man. It's crazy.
You mentioned Trunk Club. That I've been to Trunk Club. They're brick and mortar more than a few times.
Is it nice? I actually haven't been there.
So Trunk Club, folks. So for those that don't know what Trunk Club is, it's this online like fashion concierge where they send you pick out like your preferences of like clothing, and then they send you literally a trunk of clothes that you then can try on, and then you send back whatever you don't want. Yeah. But they have a brick and mortar in Chicago that I've been to, and Trunk Club's usually marketed to either like wealthy people or businessmen or guys that just don't know what the hell they're doing really when it comes to getting dressed up, and someone recommended them to Trunk Club. Yeah. But so I went over to Trunk Club because I do kind of like dressing up, and I like fashion a little bit. So I went over there, and it's such a con. It's so fun. First off, it's a fun experience. You go upstairs, and you're usually assigned like an attractive stylist
naturally.
And this stylist look like come in and you talk to her for a little bit, and she like serves you a beer. Like, yeah, you have as much beer as you want. Like, we got a beer on tap.
They give you free beer there?
Oh yeah, they give you free beer if you set up an appointment. So you get there, then it's like very like old school chic design, like the couches and all that, the mirrors, the dressing room.
Yeah.
So you sit down, they talk about what you're kind of looking for, and she brings out a whole rack of clothes, and and you're still just drinking beer. In my case, just chugging beer. And you come by, and she gives up all.
I'll have another of the 8% IPA, please.
Yes, yeah. Please. This is delicious. Anyways, they bring out all these clothes, and they're like, okay, try on this shirt with this sweater with these pants, and you go in, you try it, you walk out, and she's like, oh, you look fabulous. Oh, like, you look great. Like that really complements your body. Oh, let me get you some shoes for that. Do you need belts? And you're like, oh yeah, and let me try all this on, and you just try on all these things, and then by the end, you're like, oh yeah, like I like these outfits, and then you realize the cheapest shirt is $90, let alone like shoes or pants or like coats or whatever. Like,
you don't have to buy anything though, do you?
You do not. So the thing is like, I am a kind of a sucker, so I have bought things, but I've had friends that have gone there, went in, tried on all the outfits, were like, yeah, I'm just trying on the outfits, and then by the end are like, nope, I'm not buying anything.
Yeah.
And I think, well, obviously those girls work on like commission as well, so they're like fucking pissed at you by the fucking end of that if you walk out not buying anything.
Yeah, it sucks. It's like you just spent, like, you create an hour appointment. I'm sure those girls too can know exactly who's going to buy and who's not. They can just tell from the vibe from the beginning.
I feel like it's a rotating door, a revolving door, though. Like, I've seen a lot of, like, I've known some girls that work there and they don't last very long because I guess it's pretty cutthroat. And it's one of those things where you're like, I guess you're sold as a girl that you can make as much money as you want and you're going to be like a stylist and like styling people. And then you get in there and you're like, oh fuck, like I actually have to hustle and I have to like learn how to sell and like kind of like convince these guys to buy like hundreds of dollars and hundreds to thousands of dollars worth of clothing.
Yeah.
So
it's a grind. Yeah, man. Like I'm with you. Like I try to be, kind of conscious of what I wear and what fits me well. And I think that's a big thing though. I know some people were like aren't big fans of fashion or won't spend that much money. But it's like $45 for a t-shirt sounds insane. But like, to be honest, it's like, all right, buy your $8 shirt from Old Navy, but you keep washing it. And that's like, the shit's not going to fit you in a couple months.
Right. That's the thing. I mean, you can definitely look good on a budget, but you just have
absolutely you can. There's a lot of online sites that have good sales, but I think there is quality.
Quality is definitely get what you pay for.
Yeah. 100%,
I mean, $45. So you're talking about like a button-down shirt, or you're like
I'm talking about just like a regular T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Like if you go like to Bonobos or something, like to their like store or like on their site, I mean, you can find something like one with like a pocket or like that looks like it could fit you well. Perhaps I mean those shit could be like $40, $35. And you're like, wow, for a regular just white T-shirt, like yeah, man, people buy it.
People definitely. I mean,
it's like, have you seen Mario Lopez? Man, he's been rocking the shirt, jeans, and sneaker look, and like I guarantee you that shirt. I guarantee that's like a $300 outfit, at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, those celebs are spending a lot on their outfits. I mean, the thing for me is it's all about fit.
A lot of them have. That's a big thing, man.
All about fit. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, the fitted stuff, like the stuff that complements your body. I used to, when I graduated college, I didn't give a shit about fucking fashion. People would give me shit all the time about it.
Yeah.
And then I finally woke up and was like, I don't wear clothes that fit me.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm with you. Like you get jeans, you just think like they're the right length and like they fit you around your waist, but they like how do they look with a nice shirt and then around your legs? Like are they huge? Like does it work with your physique? Like it doesn't matter what size you are or like what shape, like how fat, how skinny, how slim, how tall, how short. I mean, you can find stuff and get it tailored and find stuff that fits you well.
Absolutely.
And look good, man.
Even if you're like a kind of an overweight guy, if you have something that is tailored and fits you well, you'll look like $1 million.
And if you feel confident, man, that energy and that look, I mean, that, people can vibe off that. 100%.
100%. When I started wearing clothes that fit me, when I stopped wearing dad blue jeans that were fucking boot cut, and like started wearing some like Levi's, like some dark jeans, some like stuff that was actually like slimming. Like
you started using those condoms in your wallet, huh?
That's when I lost my virginity when I was 25 years old.
Yeah, those condoms got used. Whatever.
I didn't even need to keep them in my wallet all the time. Right? Yeah.
You still got one, right? It's kind of you call it. It's one, right?
It's the lucky one. It's like my rabbit's foot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I keep it on my keychain actually.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I actually just cut off the ring and it's a keychain.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Fashion. How the fuck do we get on fashion?
We're just
tangenting.
This is what's great about this. Like, should we talk about the meaning of life now, or like, do we want to talk sports?
Oh no, we can talk about anything.
We can talk about anything. That's what I like about this. This is nice.
Yeah, no, this is why I do this, because it's like it's liberating.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of times where you just talk about things. A lot of your
guests from past shows, I'm like, oh fuck, man. I know we've done a show together, and like going to promote me as a fellow podcaster, but it's like, yeah, I mean, like, we're not like cranking those out week by week. And like, I'm not like a journalist or reporter or what have you.
Oh no, but you're
the conversation's flowing. You're
a copywriter and a podcaster, according to the title of this episode.
Yeah, that's what's going to be on there. So look out. What does a copywriter do?
Right.
I still get so much, like, people think I deal with like copyrights of like music and like, brands and just, like the legality, like the legal issues of it all. I'm like, no, it's not really what I do. It's like like you ever go to a website or you ever see an ad and you see this and you see like a tagline or you see copy that really just, for lack of a better phrase, speaks to you and like really engages with you. It's like, that's what I thrive to write. That's what I help businesses do. And, because there's a lot of psychology to it as well. Like I've read a handful of books on like neuromarketing and found out like all these like behavior studies and read these behavior books. And it's just like, one, it's inspirational for me of just how like we think as humans and how just like easy we are to like enticed by the word free and like how the consumer brain works. And it's been like helpful. Like I'm not trying to like cheat anybody into like taking advantage of a free offer. It's just nice where I've got to the point in my career too, where I'm working with clients who like I want to work with and like are making meaningful products and trying to do some good things, in their industry. But, from a writing perspective, there's a lot that goes into it. It's pretty interesting stuff.
No, I mean, I love the psychological aspects behind everything. I love to know the why. So, that's great that you found something where you're like, this intrigues me and I'm helping out people and I'm making money. Like, this is all awesome, right?
Yeah, you have a skill set, man. And like, it's just like, I preach to a lot of people. Like I meet a lot of people trying to do side hustles and like who are maybe good with design or other writers. And it's just, man, you can fully like make a career out of this, and like don't get afraid of like imposter syndrome either, because you could easily look at it like, Anthony, if you said, I want to be a copywriter, like I've done a few blogs before for myself or what have you, and like you go and look and you see that there's so many people doing this already. It's like, well, look, it's such a saturated market. Why should I do that? And it's like, there's like your first loss right there. Like it's easy. Like I've been a part of that. I've fallen victim to thinking, I'm like, well, I can't say this, or like, what really makes me different? Do people really hear me? And I just started creating some content, and I'm just a big believer, and it's so true though, that like there could be one or two people that only see like your advice on this certain skill or see your videos and just will, decide to follow you as, somebody as an expert, as, quote unquote.
Right.
And then word of mouth happens. Like I've posted videos like on my Facebook page, and I've had like friends from high school or friends of friends reach out to me, and I've like written, projects for their website for like thousands of dollars and like some lucrative projects for me. So it's been nice.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I can totally relate. And the way I relate is this podcast. You mentioned earlier, like I listen to freeform podcasts. I'm like, yeah, I listen to Joe Rogan. He's one of the biggest ones. I listen to, I think Tony Robbins has one, or Steve Servitt. So some other people have them. But like, there's a bunch of them. And I'm like, before I started, I was like, oh, like, should I do it? And I was like, fuck it. Yeah, why not? Just do it. Who cares? You're not going to have the biggest guests, but the people that do listen to you, hopefully they listen, they enjoy it, and get some good word of mouth, and maybe it'll become a thing, maybe it won't. But as long as I enjoy doing it,
that's the thing.
That's the key.
If you love what you do, then, whatever. Like, try not to think about don't put so much stock into what everybody else thinks is trying to tell you to do. And it's great, man. It's like, yeah, you might not have guests like people like Joe Rogan have, or, some of those other big ones, but there's still like people who have life stories, who've experienced different things in their, whatever walk of life and their careers that they have. And it's still really interesting. You could have like a comedian who like nobody knows is trying to go through the circuit, and it'd be fantastic. I saw one where you had like a girl who, like, what was she, like a call girl or like a sex? Was that
a phone sex provider?
Was that a fake? Was that like a fake? Yeah.
Was that a fake girl?
Was that really what?
That was really what she does.
Not a fake girl, but it's really what she does.
That was really what she does. I think if you listen to that show, you can find her site and pay for her to have phone sex with you, or just talk to you. It's not necessarily phone sex all the time, but yeah.
What was give me like your 1 minute favorite story of that podcast? I'm sorry I didn't listen to it, but I will.
Sure. No.
I didn't mark it. Yeah, I'd love to go back and listen.
I don't remember the specifics of the stories, but when I asked her about her weirdest guys, they were both really interesting. So I don't remember the specifics on them. I would have to go back, because the thing is, I don't listen in back to my podcasts.
Oh,
okay. I do it once. Imran edits the beginning.
Your memory sucks so bad that you don't remember any stories.
My memory sucks so bad that I just don't remember any stories. No, it's because I lived it.
Yeah, I lived it, and I'm being present in the moment, and I was present then, and now I moved on.
I moved on?
Yeah.
But yeah, the sex stories were good.
Did Imran recommend this girl to you?
No.
Imran was Imran a client back in the 70s?
I wouldn't be surprised if he was a client, but
man.
He no, it wasn't him. It was these other guys. This other podcast that I'm friends with, Voice from the Underground. They're about politics and pop culture, and they've had her on. And they were like, one of their guys, his name's Jason Dutch, is like, I love listening to your show. I love long-form conversation. I'd love to hear you talk to a phone sex operator. I'm like, okay.
Wow. So would I.
Yeah. I was like, great. And we happened to connect, and I was like, yeah, you want to come on? She's absolutely. I had no expectation for her. I had actually had somewhat of a, like, is she going to, like, try to, like, make this a bit the entire time and have phone sex with me? Because although that might be funny, it wouldn't actually be the intent of the show.
You're just like, we had an hour and 20-minute conversation, and 3 days later I got a bill for $600.
Right.
It was awful.
No, but it ended up being, once we both kind of got comfortable with each other, it ended up just being another conversation. So I was happy with how that turned out.
Yeah. Did she differentiate? Did she have a voice for clients and just a regular voice? Did she turn it up?
It seemed like that was her legit voice. And if it is absolutely a stereotypical phone sex voice. I mean, It was super flirty, kind of high pitched, kind of like girly, very girly, very flirty, very much. She liked innuendos and stuff. It was very nice. It was interesting.
That's cool, man. But yeah, just like kind of get back. I just feel like if people just, listen to this in chops, it'd be like, okay, so they talked about American Pie, they're talking about girls and hormones, and then Terry wanted to talk about a sex, a phone sex call girl. Like, this is exciting. It's like, what does this guy do?
Yeah, like what does this guy do? No, I mean, at the thing is, though, is like, yes, this is an opportunity, kind of for you to like promote some stuff, but like, sure, I'd much rather work with a guy that I listen to. Like, if I listen to this and I go, man, like, I can relate to Terry.
Yeah,
he seems like a normal guy. He doesn't seem like he was on this show trying to just pitch his entire fucking, his career.
You guys need help with copywriting? It's like,
right.
Come, hey, check out my website, check out this. I'll give you 50% off if you act now.
Right.
No, man.
You seem like a real person. So I'd come out of this and go, that guy's a real dude. Seems like a legit dude. Let me reach out and see what let's just see if there's something, that might work out here.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's like what my buddy Mike and I, try to do in a lot of more recent interviews that we've had as well. And I feel like, even just doing this, it's just like, yeah, man, I need to get back to that with Mike. Like, we have a lot of fun with it. And it's, and like, even with like my side of the business, like I am trying to do like a couple like video series, some collaborations with other, creatives and other people in the field too.
I encourage all of it.
No, yeah, absolutely, man.
Whenever I do, especially when I do this podcast specifically, afterwards I'm so energized. I'm like, I want to do more. Like, I want to find more people. I want to talk to more people. I want to encourage people to like be happy and do the things they want to do, and like all sorts of things. I'll just run through my fucking mind.
I'm the same way, man. It's like once, like I said, I kind of started like engulfing in a lot of that positivity, and it was just like a big believer in positive energy. And I would say that like I'm not a religious person, but like I guess I do believe in like, I do have faith, if you will. So I believe that there is this energy in the universe that if you put positive vibes into it, like that more positive things will come into your life.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's just kind of like praying. It's like if you fuck up, like I just did by swearing, if I was like a diehard Christian or, Catholic, and if you do something, you pray to wipe, for somebody to forgive your sins, really. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, it's kind of like that, where it's like, if things go bad in your life and then you're just trying to you're trying to regroup, you're trying to be positive, you're trying to keep that energy out there. You're looking at it like as a learning lesson of like what I could do differently, and then those things start to form into your life. And like, I've read this book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and she has like 3 books, and she's like a personal business coach, like life coach. But she talks about like what comes out of your mouth comes into your life. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it really struck me at the time, but I feel like it's such a powerful phrase because I think it's really so true. There's been times where like I've like had like a lull with clients or like something wrong with my business, or even sometimes in your personal life. And you just kind of start telling yourself and you write it down every day. Like, I'm grateful for this. Like, I'm going to get this. And then, you'll get a call. Somebody will reach out to me from my website, and or an old client will reach out to me. And it's just like can't believe really in coincidence. It's just like a lot of it's consistency and hard work, but I think a lot of it is kind of
that positivity
mindset in that energy that you're putting out there.
Well, I definitely would lean towards that viewpoint. I also, just in general, there's nothing better than seeing good people succeed. Like, I people that are out there and like fucking actively rooting for people to not succeed, like, to me, that's like one of the scummiest things you could do.
The trolls out there.
And, well, that's the thing. Like, and I listen to Joe Rogan, and he absolutely is like, you got to, whenever there's like trolls and stuff, you can't listen to them. He's like, those people are either teenagers who like think it's funny, and we're at the point in our lives, you don't really hang out with teenagers, so either that, or these people are just fucking losers that are miserable, literally going home miserable and are like so angry at the fucking world. These are people you don't ever want to associate with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like I don't know if I want to say jealous, but they're just the ones who are like envious of what you're doing. So they're going to feel better about themselves, because if there's a chance where they can bring them down to your level, then they'll feel okay.
Right. Absolutely. And these are just, it's just people that you should never, like, I would never, that's the bad thing about the internet, is like these people that are out there, I would never find, like, these people wouldn't even exist in my life if the internet didn't exist.
Well, yeah.
Right?
That's
like, if there was someone like that
about the internet.
Right. If there was someone like in real life that was like, you fucking suck, you suck dick, you're an asshole, you're a shithead, you wouldn't hang around that person every day.
No,
right?
Never.
You would never, right? But like with the internet, and I'm not saying I have like professional haters or trolls, but with the internet, like these people that have like trolls all the time, it's like the only reason you exist is because of this fucking platform. Like, you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't even have a voice.
I know, man. It's wild. Have you guys had any bad reviews like that for Jock and Nerd podcast or this one? Has anybody like literally just taken time out of their day to write like?
We had,
but is it kind of like, are they bad, or is it kind of like mediocre? Like, oh, this guy said he hated Aquaman. Fuck this guy. Fuck these guys.
We've had one. There was one on YouTube where I was like, you guys, we said something, and it was like, you guys don't like this? You should die.
Oh wow!
It's like, me and Imran just fucking cracked up when we read that. We're like, oh, we got our first like death threat, kind of.
You guys don't like this? You should die.
You should die.
Oh, wow.
No, we've had some. It's really been mostly positive. I mean, to be honest, we're not big enough to have trolls. If we ever got to a point where we were getting constant hate, I'd be like, yes, we made it. Like, we fucking made it.
I know, right? Exactly. I'm kind of like waiting for that, like, on like my YouTube channel, or like somebody posted on Instagram, just like, everything you said is a complete lie, and I would never listen to you on this. I'm like, yeah, all right, this is great.
I mean, you'll get it.
For you.
You'll get it one day. It'll happen to you one day.
Yeah.
You put up enough content. There's one or two losers that are going to stumble across and go, I fucking hate your face.
Well, yeah. Well, it's just like, even like people, I think a lot of us, especially just like with men, we have this natural competition with ourselves. Like, if you and I were sitting in a room together, and, if like your significant other and like my wife were in the room, it's just like, I would try to kind of control the situation to impress everybody else in the room. It's just kind of like, it's kind of like how, from the first time, like when we were freaking cavemen or whatever you believe.
It's kind of how men are wired.
Yeah, it's exactly how we're wired. It's like why, straight men attracted to so many curves. It's just like, okay, as cavemen and like in species, like when we were first a species, it's like we wanted to mate. And we wanted a woman who could, who had the birthing hips, man.
Right. We wanted to mate because we want to continue our gene pool.
A lot of it is in our genes of just being attractive to curves. But anyways, I forget what I was getting into.
Well, let me
Honestly, I was like,
comment on that real quick. Well, let me comment. You brought up a good point. So I remember taking a psychology class in college, and it really resonated in me because we talked about this. We talked about why men get more jealous of women when they cheat physically, and it's because we come down to the fact that we just want our gene pool to continue, right?
Yeah.
And if Jimmy over there is fucking my wife and gets her pregnant, well, shit, my gene pool is not happening anymore, right? Like, that's his gene pool now. Now I'm out, right? Yeah. Whereas girls get, obviously, and there might be feminists on here, people that listen to this go, you're absolutely wrong. And sure, debate me. There's girls on here, girls that are usually get more affected by the emotional cheating, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of the fact that, boiling down to what women want, they want the guy to stick around and provide and be there at all times, and protect. And if he's emotionally cheating on you with someone else, then he's spending his time with someone else, right? It takes more time to emotionally cheat than it does to physically cheat. You could be a fucking one hitter quitter, 1 minute man, boom, in and out. Who cares, right? You're back at home providing for the family.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of that like caveman DNA still in us. Like it hasn't gone away.
Yeah, it's just kind of natural as we are as humans. It's kind of how our brain works. And, even like, and of course there's tons of great independent women out there who like have their own careers and don't want to get into this trap where like, I just want a man to provide. But like at the same time, there could be some times where like, if you see your man or you see your partner talking to somebody else, there is just kind of that, not just regular jealousy, but you know what I mean? It's just like, if we're like, you could be like, if you were with your girlfriend or whatever, I don't know. And, there's another handsome man at the bar who just says something to the bartender. You're naturally just kind of gonna, try to like size them up or think about it if you're paying that much attention, which hopefully you are.
Right.
But, it's just,
I have a story, like, it's not an exciting story, but I went out for dinner. It was like a surprise dinner with one of my friends, and there's a bunch of us college buddies. We were at a bar. We were going upstairs because our table was ready for dinner, but we were like waiting at the bar. And one of my close girlfriends, who's not at all a jealous person, her husband was there, and her husband was at the bar paying for the tab. And then two girls came and sat down next to him and just started like talking to him. I guess they were making small talk as if like to see if the chair was available.
Oh, boy.
So I joked around with the girl, his wife, and go, these two bitches are trying to steal your man.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
I was just joking around. And she dead serious goes,
yeah,
I know, I'm going to stay right here until he's done paying the tab. Like she was like legit, like I'm going to stay right here and wait for them. She's like, I might have to kill these girls. And she wasn't joking. I was like, oh, you think this is actually a thing? Okay, I'm going to go upstairs now. This might get weird.
Oh man. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's just like, so it's like sometimes like with my wife, like she'll like see somebody on TV and she'll just like say, oh my gosh, look at this guy. And then I say something and it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Can't do that. It's like, okay, that's fair. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember when I'm single now, but I remember even like guys, like I remember watching TV and my girlfriend at the time would be like, oh, he's so hot. And I'd be like, I'm better.
Really?
I'm like, really? You think so? No, I don't. I bet he sucks. I bet he's a terrible human.
Oh my goodness, dude! It's interesting. I listened to Dax Shepard's podcast, Armchair Expert. That's another great long form one. It's super good.
Yeah,
and like, it's really good. He gets a ton of good guests on. And
is he famous from Punk'd?
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of where he got his start. And then he was in like Without a Paddle. Parenthood. A lot of people may know him from that TV show. He was in there.
Punk'd was me.
Yeah, absolutely. He was like one of the guys repossessing all of Justin Timberlake's stuff in that very first episode or whatever. It was good. But anyways, he's married to Kristen Bell. Veronica Mars and Frozen Voice, all that shit. And he's talked about it a handful of times where like she has this like variety of different taste in men, and he's just completely at peace with it because they're very comfortable with each other and confident and comfortable that, I'm her husband. She comes home to me every night. It's okay. But like, she like will comment on all these different guys, but it could be like, it's like Peter Dinklage is one of them. And then it could be like Idris Elba. I don't know if he's one of them, but it's just such a variety of different men. And, I don't know. It's just interesting to kind of hear. I don't know what point I'm trying to make here, but just that, what we were talking about reminded me of that story, of hearing that on this podcast.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
interesting, right?
Yeah, I don't know where that was going, but that's good. How are you on time?
Well, I'm good, man.
You good? Okay, yeah. We can go another like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? You threw me off with that fucking story.
I know. Sorry. Well, it just got me. It just got me thinking. Like, if we're talking with a girlfriend or wife, it's like, oh, he's attractive, and you're just kind of like, what? Really? I'm better than him?
Yeah.
Or it's just like it could be like such weird taste. It's like, why? It's just like, I don't know. It's just attractive. And like, I guess I have those phases too, where some girls like are like, yeah, that's just really cute, or it's just like, and then you could look at, it could be a different girl. Like it could be like, I don't know, like one day it could be Anna Kendrick, and then it could be like a full blown like supermodel, and like not saying Anna Kendrick's not like a very attractive girl, but it could be. Two totally different people.
Your taste,
Beyonce,
your taste
like
vary. I've noticed that girls though are much more open to different types of people than it's a lot like. Well, girls aren't as. I mean, there's definitely the physical attraction, but girls are always like girls. If a guy could be like ugly as fuck, but they're like, man, but he's funny, or like he's mysterious,
he's smart.
Yeah, or he's smart. Like they could latch onto things. Where a guy is usually like, yeah, she's hot. That's why I'd go for her. Well, and then when you're dating her, you're like, oh, but she sucks. No, I'm not. Yeah.
Oh man, have you watched Free Solo, that documentary of the rock climber?
No.
It's like,
what is it on?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
You should check it out. Anyways, I'm just kidding. What if like that was it? That's all I asked. Oh, just a random question in the middle of it.
It'd be like that story you just told.
Fuck, man, that was terrible. I was like, why am I telling this? It's like I'm not telling it well. It's like just listen to Dak Shepard's podcast, whatever. No, but like he does. What's really funny is like, so that guy who climbed like I forget, it was like El Capitan. He did it all, free solo in that documentary that won an Oscar. But anyways, they had a thing on YouTube where he like dissected real like climbing footage from other movies. So like remember in Mission Impossible 2 in the beginning when Tom Cruise does that like Iron Man thing across the two like boulders?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So he's like dissecting like their technique throughout it and like other movies too. And I thought it was hilarious. But he's talking about all this. And I will tie this back to what we were just talking about. My wife and I were watching this YouTube video. And she's like, you know what? Like, he's not a very good looking man. I don't find him physically attractive, but like just how he's talking and his knowledge and how smart he, like just of his craft, it's very, very attractive right now. Like, oh, it's like, yeah, interesting. That makes sense.
That I've seen that a lot with women, they'll be like, he's not necessarily all that attractive, but what he's saying, the way he's saying it like his knowledge intrigues me. It almost challenges me to get better. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, there's just so many different ways of like attracting people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of girls and girls attracting guys. Like there's just so many different ways. Like it's not any one thing. It can be a variety of things. Like just the human psychology behind attraction is always interesting to me.
Absolutely, man. I'm with you. Yeah. That kind of ties it back. We were talking about a little bit of psychology of different things. I like that you like to tie things back. You like to always just bring it back to status quo. To one. Yeah, man. Of course. It kind of all makes sense. I feel like if I go back and listen to it, obviously you won't, but maybe if I do, or Imran somehow does too, or your listeners, they're just like, yeah,
the only time
conversation flowed together.
The only times I actually like going back and listening is if I've been drinking late at night. Yeah, I'll throw on my own podcast, but I'll like flip through every show and listen to like a minute or two and just be like proud of myself for having so many different guests. That's really the only time I go back and listen. And I'm usually eating a burrito drunk. I'll throw on the podcast, be like, wow, look at all these different interesting guests I've had. And and people that are probably listening to this are like, you've had no interesting guests, dude. None. Zero. I don't even know why I listen to this show.
Oh man, do you have like a lot of like buddies, like friends from college who are like avid listeners and like give you like positive feedback, and then or not really?
No, none of my
motherfuckers, right?
The people that are like closest to me, I've got probably 2 or 3 of them that listen consistently, if that.
It's your mom's one of them.
My mom doesn't know. She doesn't even know how to listen to a podcast.
Oh, that's right.
No one listens. I remember being at a lake house with my buddies and going, this guy right here is my best friend. They're like, him? Why? Phil? I'm like, yeah, Phil's awesome. You know why? Because Phil's the only motherfucker that listens to this podcast that I've had for 4 years right now. None of you guys listen to it, and you all know I have a podcast. But they're always like, you're talking about stuff you're talking about like nerdy stuff. Because this is like Jock and Nerd. Like, you're talking about nerdy stuff, and it's too long, and I'm just not really interested in what you're talking about. I'm like, all right, fine, fair enough.
Yeah, man, it's so weird because like Mike and I have been doing it for a while, and we do have a handful, and I literally mean like a handful of fraternity brothers who like actually take time and listen to it and will compliment us.
That's awesome.
Which is great, right? And then, you know, I promote it, and I just like, I wonder is like, did anybody else, like, I know my best friend, with two of like my best friends, I know they haven't listened to one episode. And the only time they did is one time we were listening to it in a car because the other buddy was like, let's put on Between Two Bros. And so that's how you heard it. But he was probably just like watching the trees go by as we were in the car and didn't process anything that was being said.
Sure.
But like you promote it on Facebook and you promote it on Twitter and what have you, and you tell friends about it. And like your mom, like my mom might like reshare it like on Facebook, God bless your heart.
Right.
But it's just like, are people really like paying attention to it? But then you talk to your friends like, but they listen to like countless other podcasts. And it's just like maybe because they want to hear celebrities, like people that are in like the media, and like you're just you.
Right.
Like, all right, cool.
But the thing is like you get those people that come out of the woodwork that are like friends or family members or just that listen to it like, wow, like you're really good. And you're like, really? Wait, you listen to this? Yeah. You think I'm good? Wow. Yeah. But the funniest thing about our podcast, and maybe similar for yours, is like I don't have a ton of friends that listen to it, but like our numbers are pretty good. So that means like a lot of people that I don't know are listening to it. And I'm like, how the fuck did you find my podcast?
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. Like sometimes like if we get like a decent amount of downloads and we're just like, what happened? Why is it such a spike right now?
Right.
I just find it so interesting.
Who's listening? Like we get a ton of listeners now that like give us feedback, and every time I'm just like amazed because I'm just going, how did you find our show? Why do you consistently listen to us? Because I can't even get my friends to listen to this, but you're listening to this, and I'm in Chicago, and we have a guy that lives in Australia that like gives us compliments all the time. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Why are you listening to this?
Yeah.
Thank you, but why?
Yeah. It's crazy, man. And it just, at the same time, it's like you guys are just so consistent with it. If you just keep it up, I mean, obviously that's like Mike and I's like fault, and downfall with like why we still haven't been able to get, like as much, like turn it into like a really fun hobby. Like guests will easily answer like our emails and want to be on the show because they can look back and see, all the different people we've had, whatnot. But like, yeah, consistency. I would say so important, man.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is consistent. Like you can consistency and audio quality. As long as you have those two things,
that's true. Yeah, exactly.
I won't say you'll make it huge, but we're at the point now where like we make a little bit of a profit and we can pay for the podcast. We're not losing money every month. We can pay for like nicer equipment, and we have a little bit of extra money to like use it to like do things for the show, like subscribe to the Disney Plus channel that's coming out, or like go out and see a movie that we're gonna review, or like buy movies that we're gonna have to review that the audience requests us to see. Like that's fun. It's like now it's not even like a hobby that drains you out of money. Yeah. It's just a hobby that's fun and actually makes you a little money. So right. I think the consistency in audio quality is my biggest thing to anyone that podcasts. Is if you can stick with it and invest in some good equipment, people will find you. There's an audience for literally everything.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like I know like the cliche is like everybody has a podcast, but again, like who cares? It's just like go and do it. Like find your niche. Like if you like a certain thing and just you can bring on other people, like like-minded people, go ahead and do that. Have long form like podcasts because there's plenty of people in this world that could jump on and talk about God knows what with you. So it's I'm with you.
And if you look at it like this, yeah, everyone has a podcast, but everyone and their mother and father have a blog. So you're still not completely saturated yet. Podcasts are still, they're not as prevalent as blogs. Everyone has a fucking blog.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone has a blog that's trying to be the next Ringer or like Grantland before the Ringer or whatever, or Barstool or whatever the fuck is popular right now.
Those are like kind of the two of the big media companies, to be honest, which is just
Barstool and the Ringer.
Yeah, at least like kind of in my realm, but I still like.
Is Deadspin still a thing?
I think so actually. Or did it get? I think it.
Well, it's the whole Gawker network. It's like Deadspin, IO9. There's like Jezebel.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I consumed a lot of Barstool content for a while, but I just can't anymore. Like I liked like Pardon My Take. I listen to that all the time, but I don't know, man. The president, like El Presidente, I don't know how much you follow it, but like
Portney, yeah.
I can't stand a lot of just kind of a little bit of their chauvinistic and just carefree I mean, not saying being carefree is a bad thing, but just some of their shit, it just rubs me the wrong way.
So I like Big Cat a lot. I like Big Cat and
I like Big Cat and PFT. They're great.
PFT they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I used to listen to Part of My Take as well. The thing with Part of My Take is it's like daily, right?
They're, I think, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
So they're 3 times a week.
Yeah.
That's still kind of a lot. And
Absolutely.
The thing is that they're talking about stuff that's prevalent that day, right?
Right.
So it's not something you can like go back and listen to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
They were talking about like the trade with like Kawhi or something. Like in 2 weeks, there's gonna be something else that I want to like talk about that I won't give a fuck what their opinion is. So for me, it was just too much to keep up with. But I thought they're hilarious.
Yeah.
The only things on Barstool I listen to, or do now is follow them on Instagram. The videos are funny.
Yeah, because they like go around and they show a bunch of random shit. It is really funny. But like, I don't know, but I've gotten really into The Ringer, and like my wife and I love it too. Like we listen to a lot of their like pop culture and their movie podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, her and I are big like movie goers. Like anytime like something big comes out, like we're the ones who like, not like we're the only ones obviously, but like we're the type of people that want to go see it in theaters. And like we'll do like the $5 matinee and we'll see kind of whatever we want if there's something that's appealing to us. But like we kind of like that dissection of it and hearing people review it. And, you know, The Ringer does like the recapables, where they'll take like Big Little Lies, or they'll take, you know, Atlanta, and they'll just talk about the show. And it's just, they'll go into detail about it. And it's just, I like consuming that type of content.
Absolutely. No, I'm with you in the same way. I don't listen to as much of The Ringer. I do listen to some of their sports stuff and Zach Lowe, or not Zach Lowe, but like their NBA one, their Bill Simmons ones. But what I like about The Ringer, so like what The Ringer provides over at Barstool is like that bro, kind of like surface level, like that's funny, like oh that's kind of clever sort of thing. Where The Ringer, what that challenges your brain is to like actually dig deep into like the why of why is this good, why is this funny, why is this bad. Why, you know, there's a lot more substance to what The Ringer provides than what Barstool is like flicking around on Instagram like, oh that's cute. The Ringer's like, I'm going to sit down and I'm actually going to learn something, or like this is going to challenge my brain a little bit.
Yeah, they put a lot of thought and effort into their content. Not saying Barstool does not, but like it's just a whole different.
It's just different.
It's a different vibe. Yeah,
I like The Ringer a lot. I was a big Grantland guy when it first came out.
Same, yeah.
Yeah. So when Grantland ended, I was like, oh fuck. Well, I loved Bill Simmons for a long time. I'm not as big on Bill Simmons now, but for a good minute I was on Bill Simmons.
I always didn't mind Bill Simmons because I remember reading his stuff like as a sports guy, and it was just like, I just kind of related because if I was in that position, I would be such like a Chicago sports homer and like kind of like that type of, I guess not say aggressive, but he just said what he wanted to say, but like he clearly showed his love for his Boston sports. And like I would have the same thing. Like I wouldn't have no shame in talking about how great Derrick Rose was before his knee surgeries and, you know, in any of that stuff. So
the thing about Bill Simmons, that was always like you felt like he was a legit fan of Boston. Like that resonated. He did a really good job of like coming up with analogies to pop culture and like explaining things in a way that where this is like this movie, or like this is like this like pro. I remember he wrote an article about Derrick Rose being the heavyweight champion of point guards, and it was like, oh, this is great. Like that you're tying this to pro wrestling. This is awesome. Yeah. The only thing is like what for me, why I don't like Bill Simmons as much now is he hired people on The Ringer and when Grantland before this that are actually like smarter than him. So now like I don't take his sports takes as seriously because he's got guys on them like, yeah, that guy legit knows basketball inside and out, where you are, you know basketball, but you have this kind of biased fans perspective. I don't know. I feel like I'm finding people that he hired on The Ringer just more intriguing and more knowledgeable about the subjects that he talks about.
Yeah, no, he's done a great job putting that all together, and like because he was a writer on Jimmy Kimmel Live when it first came out, so he has all these connections. Not even just, and then he moved to LA for ESPN. You know, he had all these kind of backdoor connections with celebrities, and he has so many great guests on the show.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a good listen.
He when he had his Kevin Durant ones, when Kevin Durant were awesome.
Great.
He actually got like Kevin Durant to open up, and I was like, oh, like it actually made me like Kevin Durant for that moment.
It wasn't like some bullshit interview. It was just like literally them just shooting the shit, and he was talking about how about just like hooping and like taking like and like calling people blog boys and like answering mailbag questions and like talking about basketball and like what young guys are legit and what, you know, it was, yeah, like all 3 or 4 of them were awesome. I'm intrigued to see if he comes back after all the bullshit right now.
Kevin Durant
dealt with. Yeah.
Oh, he'll come back. I don't know if he'll be as good.
I meant on the podcast. I know he'll come back and play basketball.
Yeah.
But if he'll do the Bill Simmons podcast.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. I mean, he's certainly got a lot of time, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Guy's not playing basketball.
Oh my God. The fucking NBA, man. It's such a crazy, crazy world.
This has been a crazy offseason. Man.
I know.
There's a interesting article that ESPN put out. I haven't read it fully. I read a little bit of it at lunch the other day, but it was talking about how AAU basketball is just making all these guys super brittle by the time they come to the NBA.
Yeah, I actually heard about that article too. I didn't read it.
Yeah, I didn't fully read it, but what I've read so far was pretty good. It's an interesting thing, though, like the way that
all the mileage that these kids are putting on.
Yeah, that they're putting on their bodies before they even get to the NBA. The example that they start off with is Julius Randle, 14 minutes into his NBA career, like breaks his leg, and they look at his leg, like they did an X-ray of his legs, and I'm paraphrasing, but he had some sort of stress fracture that you don't see in kids that age, and it's like, oh my God, these kids are like, their bodies are broken before they even get to the NBA.
Oh man, they're just obviously running around and jumping at full speed and just like they're at their athletic peak when they probably reach like 15, 16 almost in a sense.
In a sense, I mean, yeah.
You know, right? So it's just you're putting so much stress on the body that's not
well, and they're not like properly weight training or properly getting like the nutrition aspect isn't there maybe.
Yeah. That's why like LeBron is such a freak because he's invested so much in his health and his body compared to some of these other ones.
Absolutely. He's invested a lot into his body. I mean, I'm going to throw it out there. He might have invested in some HGH as well, but
I don't know. Well, it's just crazy, man. It's like, would you consider LeBron still a top 3 player going into next year? Like, forget Durant because he's hurt.
Yeah, I still would.
At least top 5.
He's at least top 5. I'd say top 3.
Old, maybe 30. But like, look at like Dwayne Wade and like Chris Paul and all them are like the same age, and they're not even nowhere. They're like not top 20 anymore. Well, I know Wade's retired.
Yeah,
who knows? Wade will go to LA.
Nah, he's retired.
I know. I think even Melo too. It's like Melo, like
he's fallen off. He's not in the league.
Even if he was playing, he wouldn't be a top 50 player.
No, LeBron. You're absolutely right. LeBron is still a top 3 player. He might even. I mean, he's an argument that he's probably still the best player in the league.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's so recency bias. Like people look at Kawhi and people are like, okay, Kawhi's the best player. It's like, okay, let's. And then like 2 weeks into next year or next season, it's like,
no, Giannis is the best.
LeBron or Anthony Davis is going nuts. Like, yeah, Davis. We said this before, but Davis is definitely the best player in the league. So, okay. Yeah, gotcha.
It's just I mean, it's always like who's hot in that moment. Yeah. I mean, it hurts LeBron that he didn't make the playoffs. He became an Instagram video of not playing defense, so that hurt his stock a little bit. We'll see what happens. It should be an interesting year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, all right, man. I kind of might be able to wrap this up in what?
Yeah,
riffing.
We can wrap this up.
We definitely put a couple quarters in the jukebox, man, and just some tunes came out, man. It was good stuff.
Absolutely, we played a couple songs.
Yeah.
What I usually do before guests go, is I give you a shot to plug whatever the hell you want, whatever sites you want, whatever social media. Or I've had some guests go, I don't have anything to plug, but I've been watching this movie and it's really good. So the floor is yours. What is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was wondering, I was like, do we have like one like final question? Like, do you ever ask and anything like this? And it's
when was the first time you had sex? No,
God, not gonna answer that. Just still waiting. Just kidding. No, it's like there's like. I will answer your question,
yes,
Anthony. But like I listened to Pete Holmes' podcast, You Made It Weird, and like he always kind of ends with a couple of things. I'm not by any means telling you what to do, but it's just so funny. Like he brings up these questions, and they're like, "What's like the hardest you've laughed in your life?" And but I was listening to a recent one that he did with Russell Brand. He like towards the end of the podcast, Pete Holmes, he's like, "Is it true that you lost your virginity to a prostitute that your dad took you to?" And then Russell Brand, just complete wit, was just like, yes, I have listened to your show. This is the final question you ask everybody, right? And it's just like, it was so quick and so funny. I'm like, what if that really was like the last question, just randomly you put in the podcast just to get people off? Is it true you lost your virginity to a prostitute your dad took you to when you were 11 or like 13 years old?
Can you imagine that scenario in my shoes? Now, I'm going with people that I've barely like talked to or met in my life, and I research something so obscure that where like it hits home with you, where you're like, oh my god, how did he know that?
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Like,
maybe
did you dress up as a clown one time for Halloween and
well, it's like you
eat
had
off
that
in your mom's basement? Like what? Like, how'd you find that out?
Oh my god! Like you had that you had that guy who was recently like a Minneapolis sports personality,
Dominique
right?
Claire, yeah.
It would just be funny if you looked up like some obscure story of like a Minnesota Vikings fan who did something stupid after that Vikings loss. And you're like, I forget, weren't you the fan who did XYZ? And then you're just like, wait, what? Just bring up like some random scenario that kind of ties back to the person. But no, that'd be funny.
Maybe moving forward. Maybe moving forward.
Bro, right?
You lucked out. You skipped out on the random fact that I dig up from your criminal record.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Mike and I, when we get some shows back going, we'll dive into that.
Start doing that.
Well, yeah. But no, man. Just any pub. For me, you guys can see my website. If any of the stuff we did talk about from my professional and career standpoint, the copywriting side, my website is terryschillingwrites.com. So it's WRITES for writes. Follow me on Twitter at tschill86, Instagram at Terry_Schilling. It's SCHILLING. I'm posting content on that, and you just some copywriting, marketing, freelance tips. Again, if any of that interests you, I have some stuff like some marketing things you can download on my website too. But that's kind of really it, man. I've been, again, creating content, just living, writing, and enjoying life as much as I can, man.
That's what it's all about.
Trying to put out the positive energy, my friend.
Awesome. Well, Terry, I appreciate your time, and
likewise, man.
We'll do this again soon. It's not like this is the only time I'll have you on. We can,
exactly.
We can come back to this and play a few more songs.
I feel close enough where hopefully that we can somewhat meet in real life, not like in a weird way, but just like, who knows, if you're ever in the city.
Alley?
Yeah. No, if you're ever in the city, man, want to grab lunch or something sometime?
Man.
You go, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we can definitely set some time to hang out for sure. Look, this is what happens when we podcast. Right? People become real friends in real life, and then they end up dead.
Wow. Yeah. We all die.
Taking it to a dark turn.
I was watching some movie the other day, and it was just like, aren't you too old to try to be a pop star? And the guy's like back like, aren't you too young to die? It's just like, whoa, what the fuck? So dark, but it was so funny, dude. I laughed out loud for like 20 seconds. It's like, wow, that was well timed and weird. Oh man. I feel like once we talked about American Pie, I was like, I could see myself hanging out having a beer with Anthony.
Absolutely, man. And yeah, of course we can have a beer. All right. Well, no one wants to hear about our bromance anymore, so we'll sign this out. Thanks for listening.